So imagine this. You agree to buy a beautiful old century home for $775,000. You put a $25,000 deposit down. You're excited. You're already picturing family dinners in the dining room. Kids are playing in the yard, and then disaster hits. On May 22nd, 2024, before even getting the keys, the house burns to the ground. Now, you're probably thinking, well, at least I'll get my deposit back, right? Well, this is where you're wrong. The seller not only walked away with the insurance payout, they also kept your $25,000 deposit, and when it went to court, the judge sided with the seller. And that could be you signing a contract and watching your savings literally go up in smoke. That could be you losing money on a house that doesn't even exist anymore. But by the end of this video, you'll know exactly how this happens and what you would do differently. Hey there, I'm Claudia Ragona, one of the Ragona sisters, and today we're breaking down one of the most shocking real estate cases to come out of Ontario. And if you just thought, wait, how is that even possible? Then you are in the right place. Stick around because in the second half, I'm going to give you 3 scenarios and you tell me in the comments which one you would pick. And if you're already thinking, this is unbelievable, then hit that subscribe button. You don't want to miss what's coming next. All right, let's walk through the story step by step. Early May 2024, the buyer signs a deal to purchase a century home in Tillsonburg for $775,000. He puts down $25,000 deposit. The closing was set for August 12, 2024. May 22nd, 2024, a fire destroys the home, a complete total loss. July 2024, the buyer's lawyer asks for insurance details, and in early August 2024, the seller provides the insurance policy, and both sides agree to extend the closing to August 28, 2024. But on August 26, 2024, the seller gets 2 options from the insurer: rebuild the home at an estimated cost of about $973,000 or receive a cash settlement of about $749,000. On August 27, 2024, the buyer asks for a 1-month extension to decide. The seller says no. Closing extended only to August 30th at 5 p.m. August 29th, the buyer repeats the request for more time, but the seller refuses. August 30th, closing day, the seller delivers all the paperwork, including the assignment of insurance proceeds. The buyer wires the funds, but adds a condition demanding a guaranteed insurance payout. The condition wasn't in the original agreement. September 3rd, 2024, the seller responds saying the buyer tried to change the deal at the last minute. And in legal terms, that's called repudiation. The seller ends the contract and keeps the $25,000 deposit. March of 2025, the Ontario Supreme Court rules that the buyer repudiated the contract, no deposit back, there's no mercy, no specific performance because the house was gone. And this isn't new. Back in 1974, the Supreme Court of Canada dealt with a case called Wile versus Cook, which had almost the exact same situation. The buyer signed a deal, but before closing, the house burned down. The buyer wanted to wait and see on how much the insurance company would pay before deciding whether to go through with the purchase. The Supreme Court said no. The contract only allows 2 options: either walk away and get your deposit back or close the deal and take the insurance proceeds, exactly as they are. There were no guarantees, no waiting for the perfect payout. So when you look at Tillsonburg in 2024, it's exactly history repeating itself. The only difference is scale, because in the 70s, deposits were maybe a few $1,000s. But in today's market, in places like Toronto or Vancouver, buyers are putting down $100,000, sometimes $200,000, and the risk is so much higher. Now, imagine this in today's market. You're buying a pre-construction condo in Toronto. You put down $200,000 deposit. Money you scrape together from savings, family, even borrowing against your RSPs. 2 weeks before closing, disaster strikes. The building catches fire. You start to panic. You tell the seller, I'll close only if you guarantee me a minimum payout from the insurance. And the court says, sorry, that's repudiation. You lose the deposit. Can you picture how devastating that would be? Losing not just the house, but your entire life savings because of one misunderstanding about what the contract actually allows? That's why this Tillsonburg case hits so hard. It's not about the quaint century home in a small Ontario town. It's a warning for buyers everywhere in Toronto, Vancouver, Calgary, Montreal, that these clauses matter, and the stakes today are sky high. So let's step back. In Ontario, the standard real estate contract, the OREA form, already has an insurance clause. It says if the property is substantially damaged before closing, the buyer has two options. One, walk away, get your deposit back. Two, close a deal and take whatever insurance money the seller policy pays. That's it. Two doors. What the buyer tried to do was open a third door. He said, I'll only close if you guarantee me at least X amount of money from the insurance. That's not in the contract, and that's making up a new door. And the law says the second you do that, you've repudiated the deal. Now, let's pause because I want you to picture yourself in this situation. Would you hand over $775,000 for a pile of ashes without knowing the insurance payout? Or would you demand the guarantee? This is where people start to split. Some say the buyer was reckless, he should have just walked away. Others will say that the seller cashed in twice, insurance plus the deposit, and that's completely not fair. So let's look at the scenario you'd face. Scenario one, walk away, the house burns down, you terminate, and you get your deposit back. There's no risk here, there's no drama, and you also lose the home you wanted. Then there's scenario two, you close the deal, you take the insurance proceeds exactly as they are. Maybe it's enough for a rebuild, maybe it's a smaller check. Either way, you're taking what the policy says, not a guaranteed minimum. And then there's scenario three, you push for a new guarantee. That's what this buyer did, and that's how he lost his deposit. And now let's make it real. In Toronto, Vancouver, Calgary, deposits today aren't just $25,000. We're looking at $50,000, $100,000, sometimes $200,000. Would you risk losing that much money over a misunderstanding of one clause? So if your stomach just dropped, you're not alone. This case is a wake-up call. So here are the three big lessons to take away. The first one is the contract already gives you two options. Walk with your deposit or close and take the insurance payout. And that's it. The second, adding new conditions is deadly. You might think you're protecting yourself, but in law, you just broke the deal. Third, deposits are not safe money. They're a risk if the court decides to repudiate the agreement. So here's my question to you. If the house you're buying burned down before closing, what would you do? Would you walk and get your deposit? Would you close and take the insurance proceeds as is? Or would you push for a guarantee, risk losing it all? Comment below. I'm reading every single comment in this one. And if you just said, oh wow, at least once in this video, hit subscribe. And this is where we tell it as it is. Because I've got another case coming that could shake up how Canadians buy homes. And trust me, you're not going to want to miss this one.